What's going on, guys? It's Nav Sultan, and this is Sultanic Thoughts. Sultanic Thoughts with Nav Sultan. And I want to make a video today about mirroring. Now, mirroring is a new concept that I came across, but I have noticed it, throughout my life. It's strange where you kind of understand concepts throughout life, but it's your own interpretation of it. And then later on, you pick up a psychology book, you listen to a podcast, you listen to, an audiobook, whatever it might be. And you realize that no, this is an actual kind of concept that is discussed in, the professional world and whichever world it is. And the concept of the mirror is that you come across people that mirror what you lack or they mirror who you are. And the first time I came across this concept was a long time ago. I had this friend. He was like fat, out of shape, obnoxious, no filter. And he basically had qualities that I had, but he had them on like volume 10, And I used to always try to cut this guy off. I cut this guy off so many times, but he would always find a way to weasel his way back into my life. The guy would be like, "Oh, I just caught a salmon. I want to give you half of it." Like, he would always guilt trip you into a way where you would feel petty for him. And you would be like, "Oh, all right, whatever. I guess I can just, let the past be the past." And, as you would become friends with him, the cycle would repeat. The toxic cycle would repeat. And I just remember one day just observing him and realizing that he is doing a lot of things that I personally do myself. The only difference is that he's doing it on a much louder scale, which what it does then for me is that it lets me understand just how bad it is, just how destructive it is, just how toxic it is, just how unnecessary it is, how much it's actually damaging my own life, you know? And prior to having that realization, having that observation, I would kind of be like, "Oh, this is how I am. I'm just like this. I don't have a filter. I say what I say. I say what I want. I don't give up. But through observing him, I ended up understanding, no, no, this isn't just something you can just pass off. Your behavior, you have to take ownership of it. And I took ownership of my own behavior. And I started to realize, hey, maybe that's why I pushed this person away from my life. This is maybe why this ex-girlfriend, started to distance herself or, lose attraction. And the mirror is a very interesting thing. You see these rappers or these athletes, for example, they come from the hood, they come from, low income housing, and they reach a certain level of success. And a lot of these rappers, for example, I'm just using a very extreme case here, but they always end up getting murdered in their own hoods, in their own, hometown, the areas which they grew up with, you know? And a lot of the times it's that, when you start to elevate as a person and you start to become more successful, that your friends and family, your success becomes a little bit uncomfortable for them. Not so much that they are, miserable people that don't want to see you do good. It's just that as you started to do good, you put a mirror onto themselves. And now they start to see, how they don't follow through, how they don't finish what they start, how they lack, discipline, how they're caught up in their distractions. And it becomes uncomfortable for them. Your success becomes uncomfortable for them because they have to sit with the fact that they're not living up to their own full potential. And, and they need to start taking accountability for why their life ain't shit, why their life is no good. And to go to that rapper thing is that these rappers, when they go back to these areas, they flash such a mirror onto old friends that causes so much jealousy and resentment that they can't take it. They can't process the self-development growth that would come from you looking at somebody and saying that, "Oh man, that guy has the blueprint. Let me do what he does and become just as successful. No, they go and they literally shoot the guy and kill him. You know what I mean? It's wild. But you know, a lot of bad behavior and kind of the actions of the people around you, a lot of times they'll be really nice people, they'll be good people until your mirror becomes too strong for them. And once that mirror becomes too strong for them, they got two choices. They can either elevate themselves, learn, and meet you at where you are or where you're going, or they'll hate on you, jealous, and sabotage your success. And women, especially women, have to deal with this. A lot of women out there, I don't know how many women watch this channel, but you will have your group of friends, right? You're single, so you hang around with single girls, right? And as soon as you might find a guy who's devoted to you, loves you, treats you good, has his life in order, has, success, has masculine traits, has a grounded presence, is basically, somewhat close to your dream ideal man, and you start to pull away from those single girls, it makes them uncomfortable. It shines a mirror into their own life where they feel like they are inadequate as a woman. They feel as if, they're not good enough. And they'll come to the women with smiles on their face and they'll try to drop subtle kind of doubts into their mind. You know what I mean? Where like, that friend might meet up with the girl who got in a relationship and be like, oh, so where's your boyfriend? And, the girl might be like, oh, he just wanted to go out with a friend, so-and-so tonight. They're going to go out somewhere. And the girl will be like, really? You don't think he's out there with other girls? They're trying to pick up girls now. And start to create that doubt in their head and start to make that her friend lose the trust in the man. And in that process, she starts to doubt the guy. And then the guy is like, well, what's going on with this girl? Why is there a sudden shift in her behavior, in her energy? You know what I mean? And that relationship can actually self-sabotage by the seeds that her single friend is planting in her head, because they want to keep you at their level. Your friends, right? They want to see you do good, but they don't want you doing better than they are, because as soon as you start doing better than they are, you know what happens? The mirror becomes too strong for them. And even in my past relationship, like I'm very like emotionally intellectual. Like I emotions come to me, whether they're good, whether they're bad, whether they're negative, whether they're grief, whether they're sadness, whether they're anger, whether they're happiness, whether it's peace, whatever it might be. I'm very good at going into the emotion and sitting with it and processing it and understanding where it comes from, why it happened. And I don't resist all emotions. You know what I mean? If like after my breakup, I felt some grief and I went into the grief. I didn't suppress the grief with too many dating apps. I didn't suppress the grief with doom scrolling. I didn't suppress the grief by, rushing back and trying to chase the girl and no, come back. I need you on my good side, because if you come on my good side, the grief will go away. No, I sat in the grief. It was uncomfortable. It was annoying. It was draining, but I dealt with it and I processed it. And now, my ex, she was really in her ego at the beginning of the breakup. I could tell by the content she was kind of watching and liking and stuff like that. Men ain't shit, that kind of, those kinds of, genres of, content that women like to rush to and cope for not taking accountability for their behavior and their actions that lead to the breakups, right? And now that like I've processed it and I've started to move on and I've started to become more mature and I've taken my lessons and I have channeled the lessons and the pain into this YouTube channel, for example, one of the things that I've done with it, I start to notice the shift on her end, because now I'm putting a mirror onto her, women are, it's a very strange thing. Maybe men do this too. I don't personally do this, but After a breakup, women want you to be miserable. They don't want you to move on with your life. They don't want your life to get better. They feel, a sense of joy knowing that you're unhappy and the happiest you've ever been is with them. And one of the ways to get the most amount of revenge on an ex is to make your life really good. It's to, live up to your full potential, step out of your comfort zone and do the things that, you have been pressing back on and becoming a better version of yourself. That irritates them. They don't want that. They want you to be miserable. They want to be the happy one. They want to be the one that ended up finding somebody better than you. And they want it to be your mistake. You know what I mean? They want it to be your mistake. They don't want it to be their mistake. Right? And your goal, you should always do it for yourself. But if some of you guys are really sitting there bitter and in a state of jealousy and grief and you can't snap out of it, being angry is better than being in shame and being in grief and being in sadness. There's a spectrum of emotions. Obviously you want to be at the highest spectrum of emotions, but if you're at the very lowest end of the spectrum of emotion, you're better off being angry than being defeated. You get what I'm trying to say? And to go back to my point, I diverted a bit, is that my ex was not very emotionally intelligent, right? Like something would happen, emotions would come up, and her first natural nervous system response is to suppress it, keep a cap on it, and try to logically eat at it slowly and digest it slowly. Whereas me, I get it, I feel it. No. I process it in hours, in a day or two. But for her, she waits 7-8 days to feel the full effects of the emotion. But when you suppress something, it multiplies. So when they are finally able to, digest the emotion for what it's supposed to be, it's already compressed and expanded itself into a stronger form. What you resist persists. And it's a lot harder for these people to deal with it. It gets to the point where they just end up suppressing it for the rest of their life. Their nervous system takes on the baggage, and as they try to get into other relationships, the nervous system just starts firing this fight or flight response that this is dangerous, leave, this is dangerous, leave. And then they just end up collecting cats in their 40s and taking Ativan and anti-anxiety, antidepressant medicine because of the fact that they're not processing it. Diverted a bit more, but she really liked the fact that I could be emotionally free and emotionally expressive. At the beginning, our chemistry exploded and I was just like, oh, this is so good, I feel so good, this and that. And she kept telling me, like, please go slow, I'm scared. And I'm like, what are you scared for? Like, if it doesn't work out, we just break up and we go on with our life. I was able to, in the future, already prepare myself to detach if things didn't go as they went, because my whole theory is that when it's good, enjoy it. When it's bad, move on. And it scared the heck out of her. And after a while, I could see that the things that she admired about me became a mirror into the things that she lacked, right? And then afterwards, there was kind of this resentment of, how easy it is for me to just kind of let go and move on and go on with my life. And, a lot of times you're a mirror for people, and it comes a point in that relationship, in that friendship, where you have to pull yourself away and let them become a mirror for themselves. As long as you are staying in these relationships and friendships and explaining yourself and proving your worth and trying to, win their approval, you know what I mean? You're not giving them time to reflect on themselves. But when you pull yourself away, you go silent, the mirror flashes on them. And now they have no one to point to. They have no kind of what's that word called? Like there's no out for them to throw the blame on. They run out of places to throw the blame on. The distractions that used to numb them don't numb them anymore, right? The things that they try to do to kind of distract themselves start to become hollow and fake. The ego starts to feel like it can't keep up anymore. It can't spread the lies that, oh, he was toxic. Oh, he was this. He was too much. You're not in the picture anymore. The ego has no ammo, has no fuel to feed the other person, the story, the narrative that was letting them suppress their emotions. You get what I'm trying to say? And eventually that mirror that you were holding on to them goes away, and they end up holding their own mirror into themselves. And that's where the real work happens. That's where the real ache starts to form onto them. That's where they start to see where they screwed up. You know what I mean? And then that becomes the self-reflecting lesson for them. But as long as you're standing around, that self mirror is not really going to present itself to that individual. So yeah, that's pretty much the video. If you guys liked it, I hope you guys understood what I was trying to say. The mirror concept is something that I've been aware of for a while now, but it's just something recently that I started to kind of go into in terms of, like, you know, the terminology and psychology and how it's kind of used in, you know, I don't know if modern medicine is the word, but you know, in that field, in the professional field. So guys, like, subscribe, comment. My Why Thailand Will Ruin Your Life video is getting traction. The algorithm's feeding it. I've been getting some comments on the videos. I love it, guys. I love the support. I love the positive words. Keep leaving comments. Keep letting me know what you think of these videos. Please like them, because when you like them, the algorithm starts showing it to more people. And yeah, guys, once again, Nav Sultan, Sultanic Thoughts. I'll catch you on the next one.